We'll get started and get into the content pretty soon. Just so you know, we have a guest today. So I'm in learning mode today. I'm ready to take. I've got my pen and paper here. I'll be taking lots of notes on today's session and introducing our guest very, very soon. Before that, just one announcement. As you know, those of you that have been to these sessions before, one of the things we do is for everybody who comes live to one of these sessions, we make a contribution through the B1G1 organization. And so for today's session, we thought we'd turn our attention to Honduras, where one of the big challenges is cooking, that there's a lot of problems with people breathing in toxic smoke and so on, which is causing big health issues. So for each and every one of you that's here live on the session, what we'll be doing after the session is adding up the numbers and making a contribution. So for each and every one of you, you will be providing a day's worth of clean cook stove for a family in Honduras to make the world a better place. So thank you for coming to these sessions live. It's great that we can all make a difference to the world and help other people who are less fortunate than us. Okay, so let's get on to the content for today's session. Today's session is all about stuff to do with numbers, Google Analytics measurements, stuff to see how well your website's performing. And this is going to be a great topic for me because I don't know much about it whatsoever. In fact, everything I know about this topic, I've written on this little post-it note here. It's not a lot. So I'm a student today. I am learning today and can't wait. And so if Simon is there, let me just bring Simon on. Hi there, Simon.
Hi, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, Simon. And so Simon, just to remind me, I think we met a few years back at one of Peter Thompson's events, wasn't it?
That's right. You were talking about mentoring memberships, and I was absolutely fascinated about the kind of platform that you're running for your accountants and bookkeepers. You were telling people how you created that and how other people can do the same. So it was a brilliant session, and it really stuck in my mind about what you were doing at the time.
Thanks, Simon. And I think that must have been about 2015 or 2016 is my guess.
Yeah, I think 2016 sounds about right. It sounds about, yeah, it will be about 5 years ago now. I remember thinking then it was just such a fabulous model that you were doing. And it's been fascinating seeing how the progress and the services that you offer for your clients are just amazing. So I hope they'll find this useful today.
Yeah, thank you. And I think we reconnected because you did my training on this, which I'm actually redoing right now for the accountants I work with. I'm teaching them how to build an online business club, which I know that you do something similar as well in your business. So Simon, you got loads of stuff to share. So if you're ready, should we go straight to your presentation?
Absolutely. We do have, I hope this is not going to be death by PowerPoint today, because I do have a lot to share. Oops, that's probably not what it is. So can you see that screen there?
No, they can't yet. I'm about to turn it on. Just one final thing is we are going to answer questions. I think, Simon, you said that we'll hold the questions on until the end.
Yes.
But if you've got a question, stick it into the comments box, put QQ in front, and let me know if you've got questions. Also give comments and so on, and we'll get to those later. So if you're ready, yes, we'll go across to the presentation. Here we go.
That is splendid. Thank you so much, Mark. And I am delighted to be with you today to share some tried, tested, and proven ways that you can use your Google Analytics data to help you increase sales, leads, and inquiries. And where I think this could be really relevant for many of you that are part of the Value Pricing Academy is that you may find this relevant as you already know the importance of having a marketing system that helps you continually attract great clients and the importance of putting your marketing message in front of your ideal target audience. Now, many of you on the call today will already be doing a lot of marketing to get people to your website. Maybe like Mark, you do a lot of content marketing, or maybe you've got an agency running paid campaigns for you, or you're running Facebook ads yourself, or you're doing SEO. How valuable would it be to know which of these digital channels are actually delivering sales, inquiries, and leads for you? And also, how valuable would it be for you to know how your website visitors are behaving once they land on your website what content they consume and what content they ignore. So in terms of goals for the session, there's just a couple here that I wanted to share with you. So why you must be measuring your website performance if you want to increase leads, sales leads and inquiries. I'm going to walk you through the analytics platform. I'm going to highlight some of the most critical reports to focus on for now. So this is very much like the 80-20 rule. There are well over 100 reports that you could look at. I'm just going to show you the small number that will help you get the biggest insights for now. So in terms of the structure of this session, we're going to really split it into three. We're going to start off by talking about the goals of data-driven marketing and why it's so important for you as you grow your business to know what's working and possibly what's not working. Secondly, I'm going to show you some websites from Value Pricing Academy members, and I'm going to be showing you what they could be measuring, analyzing, optimizing. And then we'll get stuck into the analytics there and show you how to evaluate things like your paid campaigns, your social media posts, and your SEO there. Now, I am conscious that I have a lot of content to share with you, and I'm just also very conscious that I may be going too fast. So if for whatever reason I am going too fast, please let Mark know in the comments. I'll slow down and we can always go back and review some stuff as well. So fair warning, in the time that we have, I can only really show you a snapshot of what is possible when you have your analytics set up fully optimized. Today really is about giving you an overview. There'll be some of you on the call today who are very familiar with Google Analytics, and you can race around there and you get access to all the content that you want to get access to. Some of you may not have yet had the opportunity to go in there. So today is really about giving you an overview. And if you can stay to the end, at the end, I'm going to give you some details, or Sarah's going to give you some details on how you can access your data, your digital marketing measurement scorecard, so you can identify yourself how you can generate even more sales, leads, and inquiries from your website and campaigns. So some of you may have seen this infographic before. This is Mark's marketing system for getting great clients. And it's brilliant, really. It really nicely sums up the process of putting your message in front of your ideal clients and moving them along a funnel, as it were. But in order to have a really good marketing system, you need traffic. You need people potentially coming to your website. And it might be that some of you, as we've already identified, Mark's a big fan of content marketing, about creating content to generate leads and to get people to raise their hand in the air and show interest in some of his products and services. But some of you might be doing Facebook posts, or some of you might be paying people or you might be doing Facebook ads and so much similar. And when it comes to content marketing, there's so many options that you could be doing. You could be doing webinars like this. You could be doing podcasting. You could be creating videos on YouTube. You could be blogging. You could be doing white papers. There's just such an array of ways that you can get traffic to come to your website. On top of that, you're probably also constantly being told that you should be doing Facebook ads, and you should be doing YouTube ads, and you should be running ads on LinkedIn, and you should be creating videos on TikTok and Twitter. And the range of choice available to you is bewildering. And that's why so many people can get so frustrated by digital marketing. And this, I'm sure, as business owners, you've seen this quote over the years. Half the money I spend on advertising is wasted. The trouble is, I don't know which half. Now, when we go to the pre-digital era, then I think that probably was the case. It's very hard without tracking and measurement to really understand whether advertising was working or not. But when it comes to digital marketing, we really should know which digital channels are sending traffic to our website. We should know how these visitors behave on the website, the actions they take and they don't take. And what we really should be doing is using this data to help increase sales, leads, and inquiries, but also better target your ideal client profile, which I know a phrase I've heard Mark say before. So when we come back to this marketing system here, what could we be measuring, analyzing, and optimizing so your marketing system is continually delivering you great clients? Well, there's three areas on this board that we could potentially be tracking and measuring. The first one, naturally, is we have to be tracking the traffic. which traffic sources are generating us the most traffic. And it's not just the volume of traffic that's important. It's which of those traffic sources deliver outcomes. So which of those traffic sources opt into our lead magnet, opt into our email list, and which of those campaign sources will end up booking a meeting with us so that we can have that provisional first call with a potential client. And one of the things we're going to be talking about in today's session is this thing called digital measurement. And digital measurement is about using numbers to help us make even better marketing decisions than when we relied simply on gut feeling. I work with a lot of marketing organizations and marketing managers and directors of marketing. And if you'd have gone back 10 years or 5 years in some instances, a lot of them were still marketing on gut feel. And although that is very, very important, when we need to make really important business decisions as well, we want to make sure that we've got the data to back it up. And this is what one of my clients says: if we don't track, we can't show the impact of what we do. So we also talk about something called data-driven marketing. And the goals of data-driven marketing are very, very simple. It's about tracking your marketing activities and collecting data so that you can understand how your target audiences behave in your website. You can identify what content works for them and what doesn't, because let's face it, you can put a lot of effort into content which unfortunately doesn't resonate with your target audience. And the whole idea then is to optimize, do more of what works, do less of what doesn't. But you're making decisions based on numbers, and that's where we're going to use tools like Google Analytics to be able to do this rather than guesswork. So if you are looking to potentially drive more people to your website and get more people engaged with your website and improve your website performance and landing pages, the starting point is always measurement. And measurement in the digital context is about understanding the actions your visitors are taking and how they're behaving. Because if you want to get actionable insights through digital measurement, you want to be doing it so you can make even more effective decisions about marketing, advertising, sales funnels. You want to be constantly thinking about how can we improve our landing pages? How can we improve our digital campaigns? How can we improve our message that we're putting in front of our target audiences? And then use this data to help boost sales leads and inquiries. And the bottom line, unfortunately, is that if you don't know who your visitors are, what brings them to the website and what they do when they get there, you're always running the risk of wasting budget on marketing that may or may not be working. And the beauty of it is that once you really understand how your website visitors are behaving and the channels that convert the most visitors into customers, you can really just then stop spending budget on advertising that doesn't work and focus instead on the strategies and channels that deliver the most sales leads and inquiries. Now, one of the things when Mark invited me to do this session was, I'd love to, and I can talk about this until the proverbial cows come home. However, what I don't have is I don't work currently with accountants and bookkeepers. So unless I wouldn't know what's an example of their websites. So what I asked Mark to do is, could you ask for a few volunteers who might be able to put their website up for show, as it were, so I can show them what they could be tracking. Now, I'm not passing judgment on whether these websites are good, bad, and different. What I want to do is show you what they could be tracking. So the first website that popped up was linus.co.uk. I think in the West Midlands in the UK. And I just want to walk through some key components of their homepage, as you see at the moment. So with this one here, headlines, got a video here, about 2.5-minute video that talks about the services and how they can help their potential clients, and then, invites them to get in touch via this form. They can scroll down, and potential visitors can identify themselves as the services that they might be interested in. They've got some 7 questions that are worth considering before appointing a new accountant. And for those of you who may be in Canada, Australia, UK, New Zealand, places like that, you may be very familiar with this person here, Brendan O'Carroll, and a video testimonial there. And then, of course, there's another call to action at the bottom here. So what could they be tracking on the homepage? Well, there's loads of stuff they could be doing. The most important one, from my perspective, would be, this is a 2.5-minute video. And within the video, what they're actually saying is watch the video and then get in touch here. So what I'd be very interested in finding out, and probably they are as well, is how many watch this video to the end and subsequently then submit this get in touch form. So what happens is that's the first thing. So that'd be the first metric I'd be interested in, is are people consuming these videos? Because it's well produced, there's a lot of effort being put into it. There. So here, so step one is, are they watching the video? Step two is, are they filling the form in? So here, the name, company name, all this kind of stuff here. And do they click this button? So what we want to know is what happens when we click this button here. So let's do this. Now what happens is it goes to a thank you page. So a thank you page in thank you, get in touch. And this is really, really important if you want to track, measure, and optimize your campaigns and your website performance, because this is actually going to a thank you page. And if you have these thank you pages set up, that means you could set up something called a destination goal in analytics. And that's a really, really important measurement tool that we'll talk about later on. So one of the things I would suggest to you is you want to have a look at what happens when somebody submits a contact form on your, whether it's an inquiry form, a contact form, get in touch, anything like this there. Does it go to, like here, a separate thank you page, or does a message appear on the page that the form was submitted? If it goes to a separate thank you page, it is a lot easier to track and measure and be able to set that goal up in Google Analytics. Because ideally, what you want to be able to do is to track all your form submissions in Analytics if possible. Other things that these folks can track, that here they could be tracking how many people are clicking on these calls to action. If this is visible in a mobile, if one of their target audience came in via mobile, they should be able to just click on this button directly and it should just automatically dial. So that would be a good thing to be able to track. Scrolling down here, I'd want to know how far are visitors scrolling down the homepage and how many are clicking on this video. This is some very, very important social proof here from a very, very well-known personality, and certainly in the UK anyway. So it would be quite interesting to find out how many people are scrolling down the page and then actually watching this video and testimonial about this organization's services. Another one I want to have a look at is mlhc.info. And when you come in here to their page, what they have here is they have a breakdown of their services. So if you offer something similar like this, what would be quite useful to know would be which of the services are clicked the most frequently, because that just gives you an idea. Now, you can then sort these in order of priority if you so wanted. That has an impact, of course, when you have mobile, which we'll talk about again shortly. So let's say, for example, I clicked on bookkeeping and it goes into their bookkeeping section here. And it gives you some bullet points of what services they can provide. What I'd be really interested in finding out would be how many people come from this page, click on bookkeeping, and subsequently end up clicking on this new business client questionnaire. So, because that's really the call to action on the space. It's kind of two calls to action here. There's the subscribe to our newsletter, but really what they're really wanting people to do is to click on this and then go over into their questionnaire. Now, once we get onto this questionnaire page, what I think would be really useful would be to then look at this and say, well, are people filling out all these forms, and are people then clicking this submit button? So how many subsequently come from the home page to the services page to the bookkeeping page, fill in the questionnaire, and then click submit? Now, this is a difference here. This is what you might be able to see. So on this instance, it doesn't necessarily go to a thank you page. It goes to a button here. There's like a pop-up message, if you like. Ideally, this would go to a thank you page, but it still may be possible to track and measure this here. Now, when I say track and measure, obviously what's happening in the back end of their website, these forms, they are getting notifications. But what we want to be able to do is be able to know, well, which traffic sources, did these come from Facebook or did these come from a Google search? That's why we want to have track and measure these specifically. The other one that we want to have a look at is AG FinTax. And again, these are one of the websites that put themselves up to have a look at. There's a couple of things here. Really nice website. One of the things that might be worth looking at would be, are people using this top navigation? Do people use this top navigation to get deeper into the content? Are people using this kind of live chat type function down here, or this AI type function here? Are people clicking on this banner and clicking on start saving? Again, what they could be doing is they could be looking at things like these here, these services. It'd be interesting to find out whether people are identifying themselves as being part of these sectors and clicking in and looking at very specific content, for example, to do with restaurants and hotels. And of course, they've got an opt-in box here. Let's grab a virtual coffee and assess all the options and tracking these things here. What I also noticed as well was they put on a few webinars. So one of the things that would be quite useful for AG FinTax to keep an eye on would be how many people come to this page and subsequently click over here to Zoom to register for their webinars. Now, another interesting thing that AG FinTax are doing is that they're also running Facebook ads. Now, what you're able to do is really keep an eye on Facebook ads that people are running. And this is really interesting. So what they were doing is they were running a couple of ads. One of the ads is about promoting their virtual CFO services. And the interesting thing for yourselves would be is that when you optimize your analytics setup, you can track and measure how visitors from these ads subsequently behave on your website. That's the kind of the beauty of it there. So this advert here, and by the way, please tell me if I'm going too fast. I just want to make sure that everybody keeps up with this. But what it would do here is that you would click on the call to action and it would take them to this virtual CFO services landing page here. Now, what we want to be able to look at here is not only how many people click on that advert, that's the first thing, is does the message resonate with the target audience, but then how many people are coming to this page, how many people are scrolling, and subsequently, how many visitors from the Facebook ad are coming here and filling in this booking consultation here. There, I'm clicking that. Now, when I did that myself and I clicked submit, again, it went to a thank you page, which is great practice. So again, what AG FinTax could do is they could set up a goal to measure how many consultations come directly and indirectly from that initial Facebook ad. It might well be, that if they put this message in front of the right target audience, not only will people click on it, they'll read it and they'll instantly come in and fit that form in. And this is the kind of information that you want to get from tools like analytics, which I'm going to show you shortly. And I think finally from here is Idaho Accounting Solutions. So again, one of the things that you can do here is that you can they could be tracking how many people go down to consultation and services, how many people track here. This is kind of a very similar to some of the other areas. But a thing that I think would be really useful for them to track would be how many people are coming to the free resources section and clicking these various spreadsheets and organizers and so forth here. So this will be quite useful for them to track and measure so they can get an idea about what kind of resources are of value to their target audience. So if you are looking to generate more sales leads and inquiries, then it's imperative that what you can do is you can measure, analyze, and optimize the actions that your visitors are taking and not taking. And we do this by fully utilizing the Google Marketing Platform. Now, there's three components that go into the Google Marketing Platform. Just for the purposes of time today, I can only really talk about one of them, but there's three critical components or three critical tools. The first one is something called Google Tag Manager. And this is the tool that we use to track key visitor behaviors on the website. Say, for example, we wanted to track how many people are watching a video, or how many people are downloading a lead magnet, or how many people are submitting a form. Then what you would use Google Tag Manager to be able to track that information. And then what Tag Manager will do, it will then send that information over to Google Analytics. And Google Analytics is the tool that we use to really analyze how visitors are behaving, how campaigns are performing, and how the website's performing as well. And we then have to use, or we then could use, a third tool, which is called Google Data Studio. And what this does, it brings your data to life with really engaging visual reports. And this is the kind of access you have to report on how your campaigns are performing. Analytics in itself is a really poor visual tool. It's great to access data, but it's not necessarily a good tool to share with colleagues on how your website's performing here. Now, so what we're going to do for the purposes today is just really focus on analytics. So one of the things that you could do, put into chat, is you could put, are you already using Google Analytics? So if you are using analytics, or you have access to your analytics, can you just put in Y-GA? Or if you're not using analytics, if you put N or dash GA, and if you don't know, just put do not know, DYTNK dash analytics. It'd just be useful to get an understanding of where you are, how many of you are currently using analytics at all. Now, so we're going to talk about analytics. So this is the power of analytics. I love this. I wouldn't necessarily consider myself a very numerate person, but I absolutely adore this. Of all the marketing disciplines I could have gone into, digital marketing disciplines, I could have looked at website design, or I could have looked at Facebook ads. I actually chose that I wanted to be a specialist in Google Analytics, just because I love the insights that this tool can give us that really can help improve any business as long as they're getting people to their website. It is an amazing tool, and you will be able to access some great information, but I think, fair warning, as a tool, it does need a great deal of customization to help you get access to the data to help you generate sales leads and inquiries. You could set up analytics today, and in a couple of weeks, you'll get get insights into which pages people are visiting, where they've come from. But sometimes you do need to do a bit of tweaking in it. But once you have your analytics, your setup optimized, you have access to some amazing data that can answer fundamental questions about how your target audiences are behaving once they land on your website. For example, you'll be able to get insights into which traffic channels and campaigns contribute to the most sales leads and inquiries. You can get insights into, well, how many times does a visitor access the website before submitting the inquiry? In an ideal world, people will be coming from a Facebook ad, and they'll be opting in, and they'll be wanting to get a one-to-one consultation straight away. It doesn't necessarily happen like that. It might take 2, 3, 4 times. And what analytics can do, analytics can give you an insight into somebody who maybe came from a Facebook ad, but then came from a Google search, and then they subsequently submitted an inquiry form. This is the depth of information that you can get. It will give you feedback on how effective the campaign landing pages are. Really important content. I've shown you 3 or 4 examples of our home pages earlier. Which content the first time visitors click on when they land on your homepage? Really, really important, because you want to make sure that your content, your most important content, is most easily accessible by your target audience. It's not right down at the bottom of the page, out of sight and out of mind, where people have to scroll to see it. You want to get an insight on where people are clicking. Many of you, well, the ones that I've seen, are actively using videos, not only to promote your services, but you've got video testimonials. What you want to be able to get an insight into is, how are visitors consuming the videos on your website? Do they, let's say, for example, you've got a 2-minute video, a 3-minute video. How long are they watching it for? Are they watching it right through to the end? And if you have your analytics and tag manager set up, you can get those kind of insights on that. And of course, how can you use this data to help increase sales, leads, and inquiries? And really importantly, one of the things, you will have a marketing budget of sorts. And one of your biggest decisions is, well, where do we spend it? You'll commit probably a significant amount still to offline marketing, but how will you spend that money when it comes to digital? Where will you allocate it? This is how you can make decisions. And this is how you can make your clients make better decisions about their marketing, about where to allocate their business spend. So why is analytics such a critical tool for your organization? Many of you, or some of you, might be using a digital agency to run campaigns for you. And you might be getting reports on a monthly basis that says, oh, well, we've got so many impressions and we've got so many click-throughs. And that's really valuable information in terms of how many times did your target audience see your message? And of those people, how many click through to your website? That's really valuable information. But it's not as important as knowing what those people actually did once they landed on the website. That's the really critical information for me. It's a kind of like click-through rate. Click-through rate is if 100 people saw the advert and 5 people clicked, you had a 5% click-through rate. And sometimes these can be vanity stats, vanity metrics. Whereas what I'm interested in is it doesn't bother me if 5 people came to the website from a campaign, if 3 of them did something really, really important and measurable. So you need to be able to measure the actions that people take. So you could be continually improving every element of your digital marketing. So accessing your analytics. The most important thing is that if you check with your web developer, if you have analytics already set up. Now, some of you on the call today might be one of the reasons you're here today is because you already have access to the analytics and you want to get a better insight into how to access the data. Some of you have maybe come here today because you maybe are aware of its existence and what you could be existing in, but you don't really know where to start. The most important thing is that you have analytics set up. And if you do have a web agency or web developer or somebody who's set up your website, is you want to make sure or check they've already set it up for you. But the most important thing is that once you have analytics, that you as an organization have admin access. Now, I've known clients in the past where the agencies set it up for them, but they've kept admin control. And if ever you were to fall out with your agency, you don't want them having control of your Google Analytics and access to your data. So you must make sure that you are in control of your organization's data and it's not any third party, an agency there. So you can just do a search for either Google Marketing Platform, and you can go in there, and if you've got an account, you can sign into Analytics, or you can start for free. You can do a search for Google Analytics login, and you will come in here and you either put in you can access it using a Gmail address, for example, or you can create an account. And then you can create a new account for yourself or to manage the business. And then you then go in and fill this in here. Now, really, really important. There are big changes happening with Google Analytics, and there's a new platform that's there that's available to us. We're not really using it yet. It's called in GA4 because it's really in kind of beta use. So, but it's really important. If you're creating a new Google Analytics account, and I'm more than happy to share these slides with Mark and Sarah for to be distributed if necessary, is that what happens is that to create an account, you need to get access to your admin. And then what you'll do is you create a property here. And then it'll tell you to fill in your name of your property name, your website URL and stuff like this here, which country you're in, what time zone you're in, what your currency is. The most important thing, if I could just flag this up for now, is that you need to go to this option here, which is show advanced options. Google Analytics are a bit naughty at the moment because what they're encouraging you to do is to automatically use this analytics for property. And I would strongly urge you not to do that yet. Use the data and the reports that I'm going to show you in this session. So what you want to do is click show advanced options. And what you want to do is switch this button, toggle this button to on. So it's showing blue here. And then what you want to do is fill in your website URL. then create both a Google Analytics 4 and a Universal Analytics property. We could spend an hour just on this, but I just want to flag this up. I don't want to get too in the weeds today about some of this stuff because I want to show you what's possible. But yeah, that's one of the things I'd suggest you do there. So 4 questions that you want analytics to help you answer. Just at that point, Mark, it might be an opportune time just to stop and say, are there any questions that maybe I could answer now before I launch headlong into this?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's deal with that. Also, just a comment that I didn't want to interrupt you, but we had one person just mention that on your screen share, you've got a little message that pops up where you can hit hide.
Right, splendid. You're right.
Yeah, just hit the hide. That's and so that. Let me just check that's gone. Okay, wrong slide. Okay, so questions we've had so far. Let me just scroll back through because there's lots of people. I think only one person said they use Google Analytics, by the way, which is I think Donna might be the only person. There were loads, including me, that said. So Lisa said no. John said no. Neil said yes. Max doesn't. Nancy doesn't. Jean doesn't. I don't. I'm guilty. I told you this is what I know. On this post-it note is everything I know about Google Analytics. Okay, so I'm learning. William doesn't. Parul doesn't. Lorato doesn't. So Philip doesn't. So the question, sorry, let me get there was one earlier. You've answered it. Lisa said, can we get a copy of the slide deck? And you just said yes, didn't you, Simon?
Yeah, of course.
I think, yeah, so if you just send it to Sarah, Sarah will make that available to you in the Value Pricing Academy. We also then had Ritesh said, can Google Analytics reporting be used on standalone landing pages such as a MailChimp page?
You would need to put the code on that. The MailChimp is a difficult one. Because you need to get access. I know what you're saying. So sometimes what happens is that you can click on an opt-in box and it takes you to a MailChimp page. If you can put, and you need to go to your MailChimp settings, if you can put GA code on that MailChimp page, that will depend on whether you can track it. Is the honest answer. It's down to your ability for it. So I do know, because I work with a lot of clients who use MailChimp, and what you can do in MailChimp is that you can set up your MailChimp so that when you send an email out to your prospects, your clients, your audience, you can track those clicks and how those people behave by adding analytics code to the MailChimp. But the landing pages, I think you should just possibly check that, because it all depends on whether you can put the code on that landing page. So we probably the best bet will be to check the frequently asked questions on MailChimp, if I'm being honest. If that's okay.
Great, thanks, Simon. David Colts asked a question. This was about when you were talking about making sure you've got admin rights. He said, can you give your agent access without control?
Yes, you can. You can. So I tell you what I'll do. I'll show that. If you can remind me at the end, I'll show how to do that, how you can add people. Because again, yes, so you can give people access where they can just look at it and they can't touch it. Now the agency needs more than that. So you can give them edit access where they can mess around with stuff and they can set stuff up for you, but they don't have overall control. So yeah, I will show you that, because that's something I will show you at the end. Splendid. Do that. Excellent. If you just remind me.
Great. I've got. Do you want to carry on with questions, or do you want to?
Yeah, let's do the questions, and then I can do this. We might go beyond. We might go beyond the hour, if that's okay. We might last slightly longer than I won't be finished on the hour, but if that's okay with you.
Looks like about 4 more questions, I think, at the moment. We do tend to find that once one person asks a question, they come in thick and fast. So the next one was, I think Max has a question. I needed to put in some code for GA to work. My web developer said they're unable to put code in and said they needed the domain provided to do it, ? Does that mean anything?
I would suggest the web agency, your web developer, is the right person to be able to put the GA code on for you. It's not really anything to do with domains. The person who created your website, what happens is they have, let's say, for example, you've got a WordPress site, for the sake of argument. There's parts in WordPress they can put the code in. So I would just push back slightly on that one. It's nothing really to do with the domain, the person that hosts your website. It's about who's created your website. They're the right people, to be honest.
Great. Another question from David. He says, WordPress has website analytics. What are your thoughts on using WordPress analytics versus Google Analytics on your WordPress site?
WordPress are really pushing this. They're nowhere near as comprehensive. That is, WordPress analytics is perfect for people who aren't bothered about improving their business, if we're being really blunt. If you just want some headline stats, that's fine. But if you really want to be continually improving your web content because you want to generate more leads, more inquiries, more sales, I would still look at analytics as the go-to tool, because by what WordPress are doing is they're saying they're trying to demystify it, which is fine, by the way, but they're not really helping people improve. They're just telling people what's happening, really, there.
Okay, I think the next question is actually for me to answer, so I'll answer it very quickly. Jean says, is the video available because there's a lot of information? If so, where? We're recording this. It'll be on YouTube for about another 24 or 48 hours, and then we'll put it into the Value Pricing Academy. So if you're in the Value Pricing Academy, you can access it any time. Okay, next question was from Parul. Says, does the Google Analytics give daily updates, hourly updates, or instant updates?
Well, it's not instant. And again, I can show you that when we get in there. So I would say that there's a lag nowadays. It used to be 24 hours lag between. So if we did something at the hour now, 4:45 in the UK, we'd expect to see the data in analytics in 24 hours time. Now you can see it in less than 4 hours. But the default for analytics is it never includes today. It always stops yesterday. So you can go into analytics and the reports will always go to end of play yesterday as the standard for them. But I would say, but you can get access to it. So say, for example, right now, in theory, you could go and look at data hitting your website this morning, where we are in the UK at the moment, from where we are now.
Thank you. Okay, we'll do one more question and get back into the content. So Parul says, if you have more than one website, can we add all the URLs and set up the analytics on one interface?
If you have more than one website, yes. What you would do is, in fact, kind of, if we go back to this slide here, because what I'm trying not to do here, this is the techie stuff. And what I wanted to do is, again, who knows, we might do another session like this in the future. But what you would do here is that I'm not really gone into the details of property and views because I just really don't want to overcomplicate things. If you have multiple websites, you'd have an account here, and then you create up a separate property here. So you might have about, let's say you've got 3 websites, you create 3 different properties, and you'd have 3 different codes that you would put on. 1 code per website there. So yes, it is possible. That really comes under account management more than anything. But yes, that is absolutely possible there. If that makes sense.
Yeah, great. Well, I'm happy for you to carry on.
Yeah, lovely. Okay. So I am very conscious that I'm not sure if you good people want to leave at the hour, but I'm going to unfortunately keep talking for a bit longer. Okay. So 4 questions that we want analytics to help answer. And again, just please tell me if I'm good. Just shout loud block capitals to Mark in the chat if I'm going too fast. But there's 4 questions that we really want analytics to help answer. Who are our website visitors? Where did they come from? What actions did they take? And what were the results of these actions? Now, when we say who are website visitors, you don't know, you cannot tell that John Smith from Chicago, Illinois, came to my website at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Monday the 5th of July. You can't collect that kind of personal data. So when we say who are website visitors, we're talking about the kind of the makeup, the demographics of the audience there. And I'll show you how it results. So if you go into analytics, you come in and you get kind of a navigation here, and there's 5 key reports that we want to have a look at. If you went into the real time will tell you who is on your website right now. And for some client, there might be nobody on your website right now. There might be 1 or 2. This is really useful for when, let's say, for example, you put an email out and you're wanting people to take action and click. What you can do is you can actually watch people coming into your website into real time and seeing what they're clicking on there. So that's kind of useful. But the main reports here are the ABCs of analytics. The audience is where we look at, this is where it answers the question of who are our website visitors. And I'm going to show you some key reports to look at in each of these sections. The acquisition is where did these website visitors come from? Did they come from a Google search? Did they come from a Facebook ad? Did they type our web address directly into a browser, and did they come that way? The behavior is what actions did the website visitors take? Which pages did they go to? What words did they type into our site search? Did they watch our videos? And then conversions. This is the big stuff. This is what goals, what conversions happened, what were the results of these actions. So this is where we set up goals and so forth here. So let's quickly just start with audience. And if you go into audience and audience overview, and remember, I think if we're ever to do a future session like this, I would say what would be really handy would be to have 2 screens, one with your analytics on where you can follow me, and one where you're actually seeing the presentation. But what I'd really suggest for now is just watch the slides, and then you can always refer back to the deck once you've got it. So audience overview. And then what you might see is you get a report a bit like this. This is a standard overview report here. And so what this is telling us, this is audience overview, it's giving you a summary. So this is looking at this organization's traffic over the previous week. So it's saying that this is one of my clients. They had nearly 4,000 users. 3,392 were new, which is amazing, really. So they've driven a lot of new traffic to the website in this time period. On average, they looked at 3 pages per session. They stayed for an average of 2 minutes, and the bounce rate is 36.34%. So a lot of people get obsessed with bounce rates. The bounce rate is the percentage of people who leave your website after only viewing 1 page. If you're getting 80-90%, what that means is that they came to your landing page or the home page and they left without digging further into the site there. Over here, you've got a pie chart which says new visitors 76%, returning visitors 23%. So that's a snapshot. That's the kind of level of data you'd get in WordPress analytics there, which is fine. It's great. That's all you want. It's perfect. But what I want to do is show you the structure of how these reports are. So one of the things we can do is go to Audience Mobile Overview. And this is an example of a typical Google Analytics report. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to walk you through the structure. So the analytics reports are made up of dimensions, which are the thing that you're measuring, if you like, here in this first column, and metrics, the numbers that back up the thing that you're trying to measure. And if you look at it, one of the things that you can look at here, most of the reports tend to focus on 3 components: acquisition, behavior, and conversions. So if you look at the first column as being the identity here, so in this report, what we're trying to work out is how many people come to our website using a mobile, a desktop, and tablet. So quantity here are the numbers. You might not be able to see this very well, but what this is telling us here is telling us that this website had 43,478 users in this time period. 52% of them accessed the site via mobile, 42 via desktop, 5% via tablet. Now, a lot of my clients are very, very mobile driven. They run a lot of campaigns on mobile. They expect their visitors, they create their websites based on mobile first. So this data doesn't necessarily surprise us. This then tells us the percentage of new users and the sessions that they had. The behavior, we want to look at the actions. So here we can look down here and we can say, okay, the bounce rate for somebody on mobile is 40%, yet on desktop it's 19%. Well, there might be a very, very simple explanation for that. People on mobile might literally have clicked on an ad and just be browsing randomly. Desktop people may be consuming. We don't know. And that has an impact here. Now, interestingly, the bounce rate's higher. But if you look at this here, mobile, pages per session for mobile is greater than desktop. And then you actually have average session duration. How long did they stay on your website from the minute they landed to the minute they left there? And then over here are the results. And this is where you put the conversions. Now, the conversions you have to set up. There aren't automatic conversions the minute that you open up your analytics. You have to physically set them up. This one here is talking about online applications. So here we can see that for online applications, with the client, this particular client, 52% of their online applications come via mobile device. So that's really useful for them. So if we look at mobile, why are we looking at mobile? Well, I think you should really review your mobile traffic. Now, B2B, like yourselves, is a bit different. You might find that a lot of your clients are accessing your website while they're stuck behind a desk for your note. But what you want to do is look at your mobile data and you should actually look at your website through your iPhone, through your Galaxy, through your Android device, whatever you use. You want to look at how different does your content appear when it's viewed through the mobile, because it might configure differently. So how easy is it to find the calls to action? How far do you have to scroll down to see the calls to action? And how many inquiries are submitted via mobile device? So if we go back to our report here and we go to conversions, if I've got a number of goals set up, I can switch the goal to say inquiry form, and I can now look at, okay, how many inquiries? Now, I would suggest that for everybody on this call today who has a contact form, you want to set up an inquiry form submission. And so here, this is telling us that there's 404 inquiry forms being submitted in this time period. 44% of them were by mobile, but actually 52% of them were by desktop. Okay, so this is useful data to take on board. So when you're looking at this section called audience, just a couple of things you might want to look at for now. Have a look at the overview, have a look at the behavior. There's sometimes a difference between new and returning, frequency and recency, and mobile. There's lots more. You can see this. I've hardly mentioned any of this stuff. And the reason is that you can get really stuck in the weeds with this stuff. And what we want at this level, for those of you who aren't using analytics on a regular basis, you just want some quick information that you can go in there and come out relatively quickly, because it's like a labyrinth. It's like Alice in Wonderland. You go down the rabbit hole and you could get lost there for hours if you don't know what you're doing. Next thing is to go to is acquisition. And acquisitions, where did our website visitors come from? And again, we can dig into this a lot, but I want to just show you some critical reports that will help you. And the first one is you go to acquisition, all traffic, source medium. So what does that mean? Well, source is the name of the website that sent you the traffic. So Google could be Google search result. Somebody's gone to Google and typed something in, they found you, they came to their website. It might be a Google ad. You're running a Google ad campaign. So they clicked on a Google ad link. Might be a Facebook post, Facebook ad, Facebook post, might be YouTube video, Twitter. You might be promoting on a local website. There, LinkedIn, MailChimp. So we talked about MailChimp earlier. You might want to track visits that came from a MailChimp email that you sent out. And then medium is what was the type of advertising that you did. So email might be one. It might be a banner click on another advert. For a paid advert, we tend to use things like CPC, cost per click, and then social, and then tweet there. So when you come in here, you can get lots of great information on not only the traffic sources, but how these traffic sources behaved. So if we come into source medium and then we look at acquisition here, this is helping us understand which traffic sources delivered the most visitors. So this is a pure volume. So that there you could say, okay, these are the volume of people that drove traffic to the website. This particular organization, they ran a Google Ads campaign. It drove 3,500 people to the website during the time period. 1,900 of them were new. Okay. In behavior, we can then analyze how people behaved. So what we're looking for here is things like the bounce rate, average pages per session, average session duration. So if again, we look at the Google CPC, the bounce rate's fairly low, 20%. So people that came from this Google ad campaign stayed for average 2 pages, and they stayed for 2 minutes. This is all kind of useful information that we can keep an eye on. And then conversions. So which of these traffic sources delivered the most conversions? So Google organic. Direct non means that they more than likely, one of two things. They either typed your domain name into your URL, into the browser, or Google doesn't know, Google Analytics doesn't know where that came from, and they've put it into there. There's ways around that. We can talk about that later on there. Another interesting thing is if you're ever running campaigns, Facebook, Google Ads, anything like that, or you've got an agency that's going out there running ads, digital campaigns for you, then you want to be checking acquisition campaigns or campaigns here, because this will give you a good insight into how those campaigns are performing. And they have to set this up with special tracking, which your agency should be doing. So here, it helps us understand how visitors from specific campaigns behave once they land on the website. This is giving us all the information here. So again, similar as before, acquisition behavior, we can drill into this. I'm going to show you something here which is really, really interesting, because what you might be doing is you might be running a campaign, but you might be using different traffic sources. So you might be running a campaign to promote your virtual CFO campaign, for example, but you might be using Facebook ads and you might be using Google ads and so forth here. You can go into something called a secondary dimension here and put source medium. And then what that does is that marries up the campaign with the brand, with the source medium here. And then you can get a bit greater insights into the traffic. And then the final component, I don't know if you remember, I talked about Google Data Studio. You can then take this type of information and you can create kind of eye-catching reports. These are very, very basic. You can do a lot more eye-catching reports that we do for our clients here. But this just gives you an idea. This gives you a good breakdown. This organization has driven 2,000 Facebook visitors during June. They also drove 17,000 visitors from Google Ads, and this is giving us a breakdown of where they came from there and how they behaved. Another one I want to talk to you about, because a lot of people get really, really interested in terms of SEO, and some of you may have engaged an SEO agency to help you get further up the rankings for certain keywords. This is a really good way of tracking how those campaigns, how those services are working for you. So you go to Acquisition Search Console. This is one of these things that's not automatically set up. It has to be set up manually. But the interesting thing about it, and I'm taking here data from the Google Merchandise Store, is this is showing us the website pages that visitors land on from the Google search engine results. So this is an idea here of the search engine results and how they're, so this is saying here that this Chrome dinosaur collectible was shown 327,000 times in the search engine results, and it got 1,244 clicks. Okay, don't be bothered about the volume. You just want to know, you want to be able to go into yours here and just find out whether your landing page got, say, 50 clicks or 20 clicks over the past month, because this is information where people were looking in Google and they found you and they clicked. Another thing that's really, really useful, again, acquisition search console queries, is this will tell us the keywords that visitors used to find your website. Okay, so this is telling us somebody typed in and put in Linus Accounting, or somebody put in AG Fintechs or Fintax, or you'll see people misspelling stuff. This is really, really useful. So if any of you have agencies that are out there running SEO or working on SEO for you, this is a really good way to monitor how they're performing for you, because you want to see, well, are we getting any clicks from it, from the work that you're doing here? So for acquisition, these are the kind of things that you want to be looking at: source medium, search console, campaigns, and so forth there. Now, behavior is the actions that our website visitors take. So this is really, really important. So this is where we're getting a good idea of, well, which are our most popular pages and what did people do when they got there? So we go to behavior, site content, all pages, and this will give you a breakdown of the most popular pages by page views and by unique page views. So what's the difference between unique and page views and unique page views? I look at this as an individual person. I could have come there and looked at that. I could have come to this page here 5 times, but under unique page view, it will only count me as once, because the 5 visits would have been counted there. And then again, you can just get some really good ideas as to how long they're spending on each page. Now, again, a short amount of time on a page isn't bad as long as they're clicking through to a next page. So this is telling us not only the entrance, so how many people, was this their first entrance point to the website, but also how many people subsequently left on that page. So a high number there means they either found the information they were looking for, or maybe they didn't like the information that they saw on that page there. So one of the things that you can do over time, excuse me, I'll just take a wee swig, is just make yourself aware of the most popular pages. Page views, unique page views, average time on site, and so forth there. If you are ever running campaigns, if you're ever running ads, then you want to be looking at landing pages. The landing pages, by definition, this is the first page that people came to on your website. For most organizations, it's always the homepage. Homepage is always the largest one. But let's say, for example, you're promoting a specific service. You might not be wanting to send people to the homepage. You might want to get them to bypass that homepage and take them to a very, very tailored page with a very tailored message. So this is the kind of information that you want to look at. Again, don't compare yourself. This is a massive multi-million pound organization here that we're looking at here. So don't be phased that these numbers seem quite high. It's irrelevant. The volume of numbers in this instance are irrelevant. Your numbers are what are important to what you are. But we can look at here the landing pages, and we can also look at the conversions. How many conversions happened as a result of people landing on that page here? So one of the things you might want to consider when, again, for many of you, the first few weeks of using analytics will be interesting, again, assuming that you're getting traffic to the website. But over time, you want to be looking at this and going, okay, all right, so we're getting traffic to these pages. Where did it come from? Did it come from a campaign? Did it come from a social media post? Did it come from a LinkedIn article or a LinkedIn post? Did it come from press releases? Maybe you've got a PR agency working for you. How many came from search engines? So this is the kind of stuff that you want to have a look at. Now, for me, one of the most important pages or sections within analytics is the events. Now, this is where we're tracking key visitor interactions, and this is where you have to set this up. This doesn't happen automatically, so this has to be manually set up and customized. But this can really give you an understanding of how effective your website content is, how people are navigating, why they may be leaving before submitting an inquiry, or whatever call to action that you're looking to take. So this is where you'd see information like this. So event tracking helps us understand. So say, for example, you can set it up in Tag Manager Analytics to see how far people scrolled down the page and which link they clicked on and which forms they submitted and which banners they clicked on or documents they download and which videos they watch and for how long. And all this information is taken from that tool called Google Tag Manager and pushed into this section here within Google Analytics. And this is where we can get really good data on how people are behaving. What you might see if you haven't set this, if this hasn't been set up for you, is you'll see probably a flat line. And that's fine. It just means that it's not tracking all those components yet there. This for me is really important because you want to get a really good picture of how visitors are engaging with your website. Because if you don't have this, it's very hard to improve. Again, this is the kind of stuff where if you ever, let's say, for example, you set up analytics in July 2021 or whatever, but you maybe in a year or so's time, you're looking to redo your website, you can use data from here to show your agency, look, this is how people are behaving now. I'd like you to improve it. So you can use Google Analytics data to make your web developer's job a lot easier because they've got data based on how people are behaving now, and you can then show people, you can just improve that there. So that's the kind of thing you should see here. You should come into behavior event overview and see lots of stuff like this here, there. So again, for behavior, if you ever browse around, look at which are your most popular pages, landing pages, and look at events there. Now, a lot of people are interested in conversions because this is what a lot of websites are measured by. They're measured by goals. They're measured by, if you're an e-commerce organization, you've been measuring turnover and volume of turnover. Now, many of you on the call today are not necessarily running e-commerce sites. You're running lead generation sites. You're asking people to fill in a form to start the process of having a conversation, as opposed to book our services now for $995 plus whatever local taxes. So conversions is where we start to set up goals. And for yourselves as accountants and bookkeepers, I think about the main actions you'd like your visitors to take on your website. So some of you may be that you just want people to submit an inquiry form. Well, there's a possibility that what you can do is you can set up as a goal, and that fires every time somebody successfully submits an inquiry form. It might be they've got a mailing list, or it may be that you could set up a goal that's tracking every time somebody downloads a guide, a report, lead gen, some kind of calculator. Or it might be that you've got videos and you want to track a goal every time, say, somebody watches 50% of the goal there. So there's all kinds of different things that you could be tracking, but the way you track them is that you go to conversions goals overview, and then this skill gives you a breakdown. Now, again, I haven't got any, I've got these big organizations here. I've not got necessarily lots of goals from accountants and bookkeepers and so forth in terms of there, but this is where you can get a breakdown of the goals and when they took place during that time period there. So why is it critical to set up goals? Well, it's really critical because there's so many things you can then track. You can track your conversions, let's say inquiry form submissions, by, well, what device did they come to? Mobile, desktop, tablet, by the campaign source. So again, we ran this campaign, we did a Google ad, or we did a Facebook post, or we did a YouTube video, and look, this is how many people submitted an inquiry form. Or by campaign. This is a really good way to measure those digital agencies that are perhaps constantly ringing you up and telling you they can do a great job for you. This is how you measure the effectiveness of the work that they do. And so again, conversion goals overview will give you that kind of breakdown there. So in terms of showing you stuff, that's really what I wanted to try and do today in terms of an overview. But what happens when you have analytics set up for you and it's working and you can access the data? The most important thing for me is that you get a better grasp on how your marketing system is working. We need a marketing system. We need to be putting our message in front of our target audiences. But most importantly, we need to be measuring how it's doing. And this will give you a better grasp of what's working. It means that you can understand how your visitors are interacting with your content. You'll know whether your web pages are too long or irrelevant, because in the data, nobody's seeing some of those calls to action that might be at the foot of your page there. And then what you can do is, once you've got all this set up, you can then focus your time on getting insights that will help you increase your return on advertising spend, inquiries, and conversions there. I hope you found this a half decent introduction to the power of analytics. If you want to measure yourself where you are right now, what I've done is I use a digital marketing measurement scorecard. And what it is, it's downloadable, you fill it in. The idea is that you go through this step by step and you mark yourself in terms of how things are set up, and it tells you how to access this information there. It gives you a score out of 60, and out of that, it gives you a good indication of what you're doing really well, but what you could be improving on as well there. So that, I think, is a really good way that allows people to give you a feel there of how it's working. So if Sarah wanted to just pop that into that URL into the chat, or whichever way you do it, all you need to do is to go to that page, download your digital measurement scorecard, just put your name and email in. You'll get an email. You have to just then opt in and say, yeah, I want to receive this, and then you can download it. And you can always then contact me if you've got any questions about your score or your whether you're able to access stuff and things like that there. I've just got 4 actions, if I can, Mark, before suggested recommended actions before I go back to any questions. So first of all is this, is check you have access to your analytics data. So by the sound of it today, it may well be that not everybody has access to your analytics data. That probably is a starting point. Now, it might be you've got an agency. Just go and ask the agency that you work with, hey, how do I access my Google Analytics account? And it may well be that they'll then give you the information. Make sure that you've got admin access. That's the most important thing. The second thing is, think about the conversions you'd like to be able to measure in analytics. So you've all got web pages, websites, and you're all hopefully asking people to do something on that. And it might be as simple as clicking in or doing things like that there. So think about that. And then review the key actions. You're going to get the slides to this. So just review the key analytics reports mentioned. Try and do it monthly. Again, I know you've got 1,000,001 things. This is not the most important thing in your business. I accept that. And dealing with your clients is the most important business. But if you are spending money to put your message in front of your target audience, or you're spending money to make your website as appealing as possible, I think it's really important to just at least occasionally tap in there and have a look and see what's going on. And of course, needless to say, download the digital marketing measurement scorecard, see what you could be doing using the analytics data to generate more sales leads and inquiries. So Mark, that is me done. Sorry I went over by some considerable amount of time, but I hope you found that half decent, half useful in terms of how it works and so forth there. Some of you, this will be your first introduction to Google Analytics, so I can understand it's definitely a wee bit on the bewildering side. One of the things I will do, if I access, oops, don't want to do that. So, okay, so on that basis then, Mark, do you want to go, while I set this up, shall I, do you want to, is there any questions that anybody wants to ask?
Yeah, there are some questions. Also, I put it on the screen earlier, but Philip kindly said, everyone needs to click the thumbs up. Great presentation. So yeah, if you've enjoyed the presentation, do click the thumbs up, and perhaps say in the comments if you do want to hear more on this topic and hear more from Simon. Just let us know in the comments if that's what people want. I can talk to Simon about doing something more. And Sarah has put those links in, whether you're in Facebook or whether in YouTube. Those links are there. And one thing that I'll be certainly doing is we measure data from our Facebook ad campaigns, but we do not, I'm completely guilty of not measuring anything with the website. So I'm really pleased that my daughter Gabby's on the call today, and Gabby will be downloading that scorecard to see how we're performing. Probably quite poorly, I'm guessing, on our website. So it'll be interesting. Okay, questions that we got. I think that this one might have been answered now, but I'll just check. Katrina said, any quick tips to optimize SEO? And I think you did go into that a little bit. I don't know if you want to add anything on that, Simon.
The question is where to start. What I would do is I'm not an SEO expert. Many years ago, I used to deliver SEO services. I don't do them anymore, so I wouldn't count myself necessarily. I wouldn't say that this is my area of expertise. What I would just say is that keep an eye on your analytics. So this is a demo account which Google gives everybody access to. But if you went to Search Console, a really good thing to do is just to keep an eye on how people are finding you. What are the keywords? You will find, and this is no bad thing, that even if 90% of all your keyword searches are variations of your URL, that's great, because that means that your name's getting out there. An ideal one would be that people are finding you because they're saying accountants, bookkeepers, and your geographical location. So always have a look at one of the things you can do is put your geographical location in, put your keyword in, accountant, bookkeeper, your city, your state, whatever. Just go and have a look at who's there above you. And then maybe speak to your agency about what are they doing that's getting them to the top, and why aren't you there if you're not there. I would not count myself as an SEO. I would position myself more as an analytics and data specialist rather than SEO. So I'm sorry if that was a wee bit on the vague side.
No problem. I like the honesty. Okay, next question, which I think is a simple one to answer, but William from Ireland said, would bounce rate be irrelevant for a one-page website? I guess it would it?
Yeah, it would be, because the thing is, So I think culturally, from a marketing point of view, a lot of people are taught to send people to bespoke landing pages where they're not really, it depends what you want those people to do on that one-page website. So if it is that you're asking them to opt in, what happens when they opt in? Do they go to a thank you page? If they go to a thank you page, the bounce rate does become important, because that bounce rate will be high if people are not going to that thank you page, because that suggests that they're not taking the action that you wanted them to take. So bounce one-page websites are a bit of a tricky one, because it depends on what you're asking people to take and whether you can track that action, because some of these lead magnet templates that you can access, they're not necessarily very good for measurement, if I'm being honest. They're very good at, say, marketing, at getting people to take the action maybe, but they're not necessarily very good at being able to track how many people have come to that page and taken that action.
Okay, awesome, thank you. This might be a hard one to answer, but let's see. So Crystal Williams said, my interface, is when you were showing to me earlier, my interface is different than what you're previewing, e.g. under acquisition, I see overview, under acquisition and traffic acquisition. Can you help, or do I have to set up those menus?
I think what you're saying is this, and let me just see. Yeah, this is the new, the reason why, this is the new Google 4 template here. And this is where Google Analytics have been a bit naughty, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to drive all new users to use this interface. The problem is there isn't a lot of support out there that will help you with this interface. So one of the things, if you could possibly go back, and I don't know how much data, the chances are, if you've got this interface, the chances are you've only had this set up in the past 6 to 8 months maximum, because this only was released in November last year. What I would nearly recommend is that you speak to your agency or somebody, and you come in here and you go back and you create a property. And again, this is the part that I said that what you've got, you see, they're wanting you to create that, I would go to that. I'd go back and I'd create an advanced sort thing here, and this is where if you tick this box, you get the new one and the old one as well. The old one, I say old one. This platform that I use is going to be around for at least the next 18 months. And I personally would say to anybody who's interested in dipping their toe into Google Analytics is get comfortable using the existing one, because it will make using the new one that bit easier when we are forced at gunpoint to start using this new version. That's when we'll be doing it. But the problem is, even analytics experts can't say with absolute certainty how to do certain stuff on this GA4 now. So so it's great. I'm glad that you flagged that up. But yes, I would just go back to your agency and say, can I set up a separate one which also tracks what we call universal analytics? You want a Google, if you take a screenshot of that, I mean, you get the slides anyway, but take a screenshot of that. Really important. So you click advanced options and come in here there. If that makes sense there.
That's great. Thank you. You did. There are a couple more questions. I think we'll do a couple more and then we'll wrap up. But you did promise, I think, to do something about agency edit access.
Yeah. Okay. So what you need to do. So in your analytics, let's go all the way back to analytics here. You scroll down to here, this cog. So sometimes it appears like that. It's a cog. And what you can do is you can click on admin. And this will take you to the back end. I deliberately not. I think that this is this is a next phase, if you like, is getting your head around all this part here. Excuse me. What you can do here is that you can click on account access management, and then here what you can do is you can go into the top right corner and click add users. Okay, I'll do that again. That was a bit on the fast side. So go into the top, click on this blue button, go add users. And then what you would do is that you would put in the email address of the agency. And I would suggest that you just give them edit, collaborate and read and analyze. And then click add, and that will send them an email, which will give them access to it there. This one here, I personally wouldn't allow them to have that one there. So that's the one. So with an agency, you can give them all this kind of stuff, because truth be told, they won't be able to help you much if they haven't got access to edit and collaborate and stuff like that there. So hopefully that makes sense. And don't forget to click add there, if that makes sense. What am I doing? I'm canceling them. Yeah. Don't save. Good stuff. Yes.
Awesome. Thank you. Right, we'll be doing that as well internally. A couple of questions to finish off because we're running out of time. David Colts, who actually asked that question earlier, says, I don't understand this, but perhaps you do. What funneling tech works particularly well with Google Analytics? He's looking at using Go High Level.
Again, the thing to ask them, when you're looking at any kind of tech like that, is do a search for Google Analytics and that tech. How do you implement Google Analytics for that particular funnel, for that particular technology? Because it's all different. Really, what should happen is that information is really just, again, it's another landing page, isn't it? Or it's another sequence. You should be able to put analytics code on their back end, as it were, so it sends information in there. So I don't know specifically what one I'd recommend, but you get, what's that one? All those kind of lead magnet, lead funnels, and all that kind of stuff. As long as you put the analytics code on there, it should feed into the analytics data for you.
Okay, awesome. Last question. Wait, this is the last question. I'm not sure I fully understand it, but Mars says, which one will be more efficient? Do it yourself, Copilot, or done for you package?
I think that's probably part of our of our services. Look, I'm very happy to talk to anyone, and anybody who's watched this and they think they could need some support, then just let me know, and we'll try and help them in the to the best of our abilities there. Mark, just before I go, can I ask somebody of the audience? Do you mind if I ask a Peter Thompson-esque type question at the end? Would that be okay? Would it be possible if you put into chat, just for Mark's understanding as well, what are the main things from today's session that you've learned, because they're new, you've relearned, i.e. you knew it, but maybe you've just reminded yourself to do it, or that you're going to take away from this and put into action? I'd be really, really interested in hearing if you found this valuable, because I'm so used to dealing with directors of marketing and heads of marketing where even they have to be educated about this, that I'm always interested in learning from a business owner's perspective and a business professional's perspective, what elements of this made sense and what elements maybe I could explain a bit better for future sessions. But hopefully in some shape or form this has been some insightful for you, and I'll just put my information down here that say, look, if you need feedback, the email address is simon@femarketing.co.uk, and the website address is femarketing.co.uk there. So Mark, I just want to say thank you for this opportunity. I hope it's been of value to everybody who's attended today.
Absolutely. I think looking at the comments, Simon, there's been lots of great comments. And so one of the things I've been thinking of, and we can perhaps talk about it another day, but one of the things I teach in Marketing Mondays is I teach the importance as part of the foundations of any firm's marketing is, number one, having a lead generation system to capture leads, and number two, then having a system to automate the process of turning leads into appointments with a pre-qualification process and all sorts. And we teach all that and have all the systems in place, but we don't actually think about the measurements behind the scenes and the conversions. So it might be fascinating at some point in the future to think about how would people measure those specific things that we teach and set up for people.
Yeah, no, that sounds like a great idea. That really does sound like a great idea. Yeah.
So I'm going to just say thank you so much, Simon. That's been awesome. I've learned so much. As I said, this is what I know about Google. Well, I know more than this now. I've filled up more than a post-it note of notes, and we're going to take some action with our website and changes coming soon. I know some other people are going to take action as well. And so thank you so much. We'll speak again sometime, Simon. And thank you to everybody else for coming along to the session. Thank you for all the great questions that you've asked. Just to let you know what's coming up, if you're in the Online Live Academy, this Wednesday I'm going to teach you how to launch your business club. So that's a really big session on Wednesday if you're in the Online Live Academy. And that's our only session this week because I'm on vacation on Friday for 4 days. So we'll be back again next week with a general session for anybody. I can see lots of comments coming through. I will read your comments and so on. I'm going to, as usual, I'm going to play out with some music. And that gives me a chance to read your comments. I will see some of you if you're in the Online Live Academy. I will see you Wednesday. And those of you that are not part of VPA, I may see you at one of the sessions next week. Okay, goodbye for now.
I wasted all my time, I wasted all my nights, I wasted it on someone who's indifferent. He didn't love me right, he told me I was blind, but I never really wanted to listen.